After the January 6th Capitol riots, corporations swore up and down that they would no longer financially support, AKA bribe, attorneys general that engaged in perpetuating the big lie. They're like, nope, we can't do it, this is unacceptable. During that time, I made a prediction. What was that prediction? Why don't we watch?
It's ridiculous that things had to get to the point that they got to for these companies to pull their support and their funding. They had no problem with all of the other shady behavior that was taking place within the Republican Party leading up to the riots. And again, I just want to reiterate that they will absolutely go back to funding Republican lawmakers, even the same Republican lawmakers who engaged in that lunacy in the Capitol last week.
Today, ProPublica is reporting that several of the corporations who swore to stop funding these individuals have gone back to funding these individuals. Some of these companies actually started bribing attorneys general only a month after they swore to stop doing so.
No, of course.
Okay, so it's amazing. So the right-wing pro-MAGA attorneys general are part of this organization known as RAGA. It's the Republican Attorneys General Association, and that is the group that all these corporations have now begun providing bribes to, okay? I'll give you some specifics in just a moment, but Cenk, this is your bread and butter. You love talking about the corruption that has destroyed our democratic process and our system of government. This is a good example of that.
Guys, this is absolutely brazen. So this is the kind of propaganda that the mainstream media does where they say, no, this is not bribery, but get a load of this. So these guys, first of all, let's note #Anna was right.
Thank you.
Okay, and so these guys bribe attorney generals all the time, but if you think about it, what do they want? So for example, Johnson & Johnson is one of the companies that say, oh, our democracy is too important, and then they rush right back in, right? Why do they rush back in? Because they're being sued by a lot of these attorneys general throughout the country because of talc, and then it might create cancer, and et cetera. So what do? They just go and bribe them. And they say, well, okay, why don't we settle for less after I give you a bribe? And they're like, oh, that sounds good. And we allow this, This is insanity, right? So UPS has a number of different issues in front of them. In fact, when they went to go get bribes again, these Republican attorneys generals went to UPS and had a laundry list. Now, these are the things you might be concerned about, like maybe unionizing, and we could allow that, or maybe we could not allow that. I mean, it's a literal shakedown. So ProPublica, great job with this reporting, right? And they're consistently humiliating mainstream media reporters who are like, oh, is it corruption? I can't tell. Oh, they're bribing the guy suing them to sue them for less. Oh, I can't tell. Of course it's bribery, of course it's corruption. It's insane that we allow it.
Now, what is the mission statement by RAGA, right? So this is where the Republican attorneys general, they're members of this. What's their mission statement? What do? Well, they want to promote and protect the Constitution, freedom, and opportunity for future generations. That's what they claim. Now, many of those same people who are part of this group supported Trump's bid to overturn the 2020 election. In fact, why don't we watch this clip from December of 2020 to just provide some receipts for you folks.
President Trump did not comment today on the record number of dead from the coronavirus. Instead, he focused on voter fraud and what he called a corrupt election with no evidence to prove it. Even telling guests at a holiday party last night the legal fight is not over.
We have tremendous cases right now.
The president met with Republican state attorneys general who are backing a lawsuit in the Supreme Court to invalidate presidential election votes in Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. If the high court agrees to intervene, Senator Ted Cruz will argue the case at the request of Mr. Trump. Texas AG Ken Paxton filed the lawsuit.
There's no way to know whether any of those $2.5 million in Pennsylvania were legit.
Now, there were 17 other Republican attorneys general who signed on to that, all of whom were RAGA members. And that's just what they did, that's who they are, which is why the companies felt the need to publicly state, like, we don't support them anymore. we will no longer provide campaign contributions or any financial support to these individuals or to organizations that these individuals are part of. Now, let's do the update, okay? So over 2 years after the riot, where are all these companies? What did they actually do? Well, some companies like Microsoft and Coke are still staying away, credit where credit is due, okay? Comcast is more typical. Get a load of this. The company resumed giving barely a month after condemning RAGA and has since contributed close to $500,000. $500,000.
Of course. Look, guys, I want to note that RAGA also takes money from these same corporations, so they don't have the hypocrisy issue of January 6th, but the Democrats also take bribes. Tons and tons of bribes.
Both parties take bribes.
They do the same exact thing, and then they go, "Oh, golly gee, did we reduce the payment that you were going to give because you gave us money?" No, not corruption at all. So, but there's a tremendous irony in this story. Corporations claiming, "Oh, we're so concerned about democracy."
Exactly.
So because of January 6th, we're going to stop giving for a month. Hilarious already, right? But the reality is, corporations are the ones that killed democracy in the first place.
Yes. Look, guys. My prediction isn't because I'm some smart person or like a fortune teller, okay? It's just common sense. The money in politics undermines our democracy, and these corporations love it. They jump in it. They love having a louder voice, a more powerful voice, a voice that politicians listen to instead of our voices.
100%. In fact, like the one chapter in my book, I keep saying everybody's got to read. Okay, the other chapters are great too, but chapter 4 is about how corporations took over our government and now we serve corporate machines. So the book is Justice is Coming. You can get it at tyt.com/justice. But look, guys, if you've never read about the Powell Memo, you don't want to read my book, no problem. Jane Mayer wrote brilliantly about the Powell Memo and how they made a plan, corporate America made a plan to take our government and have it serve them instead of us. And that plan worked brilliantly. So these jokers come around pretending to care about democracy, it's hilarious. So you remember how I told you about UPS and their laundry list? I'm gonna read you that paragraph out of the ProPublica piece. Again, a terrific piece of journalism. RAGA also itemized past UPS donations to RAGA and RAGA, that's the Democrats, and identified some of UPS's policy interests. This is when they're reaching out to get money from them, to get donations. They're like, remember your policy interests. So they say they include labor issues, the interstate shipment of illegal or illicit goods, and a Securities and Exchange Commission proposal to require companies to report on greenhouse gas emissions. In other words, the Republicans are reaching out and saying, you're not gonna have to worry about greenhouse gases or any investigation. Remember, we're the Attorney General, I'm the Attorney General of this state. And we're not gonna investigate you on your illegal shipments if you do the right thing and give us money again. And you're gonna be shocked to find out UPS sent them the check right away, okay? And that's how bribery works.
That is how bribery works. And finally, many other companies, of course, are back in the fold, like Microsoft, Amazon, Walmart, Visa, Capital One, MasterCard, Intuit, Walgreens, General Motors, Altria, Home Depot, JP Morgan Chase, JP Morgan Chase's PAC to be specific.
Yeah.
So you guys get the picture. Of course, they were gonna go back to funding those individuals who undermined our democracy because they themselves undermine our democracy.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.